Hey Smoothers, it's Cam, and today on Nobody Asked, we're going to be continuing the no shooting challenge in Halo Infinite. So I have some bad news. I lost a lot of footage for this video. In the end of the last video, I had some footage of me driving in a Warthog, basically clearing out this one area. I lost all the footage for that because I accidentally deleted it or misplaced it. I don't know what happened to it, to be honest. I'm just going to summarize for you the stuff I did in the footage I lost. Mainly, I just went around and collected upgrades. The equivalent of I did some mining off stream. After getting quite a few upgrades, I then got to this one mission where I had to kill Bassus, and I simply could not do it because I didn't have enough energy sword juice, basically. After probably hours of attempts, eventually the game broke because I tried to fast travel right before dying, and then I got stuck on a loading screen. Anyways, doesn't really matter. So let's just move on. For this attempt, I actually did stream myself doing the challenge. So for most of this video, actually like all of the video, you're going to see a little talking box in the top right corner. Just ignore that. He's not hurting anybody. So to start off this challenge, I went to the nearest fob, got a brand new energy sword, and then went back to this boss fight. Having a full energy sword made it so much easier. Plus, I had already learned like a good strategy where if you grapple up to these ledges above the door frames, Bassus can't get to you. He will try to throw a sticky grenade, but other than that, he can't really kill you. So doing that and also grappling grenades while on top of this little door frame, it was pretty easy to kill him. Eventually, we ended it off by killing him with the energy sword, so it's very nice having an energy sword going into this fight. After killing him, I was able to pick up his gravity hammer, and this was actually huge because now I could have two melee weapons. I could have the energy sword and the gravity hammer, meaning shooting was not even an option for me. However, I did use up the entirety of the energy sword before entering this mining facility or whatever the heck this is. Heading forward, I only had the gravity hammer to work with, so hopefully I didn't run into anything too terrible. Eventually, I did come into this one large room, and there was actually a couple rooms that were designed exactly the same, and they did give me quite a bit of trouble since, open rooms are kind of the worst. The first one wasn't that bad, actually. I just moved up using the little pillars on the sides, and overall it wasn't terrible. Problem for me arose when I got to the second instance of this room layout, because then it introduced me to some Jackal snipers, and these snipers could kill me in a couple hits. Luckily, I did get an upgrade for a wall that I can drop that technically you can shoot through one side and the bullets coming from the other side will be blocked. However, I can't use the feature of shooting through it, but having a deployable wall is actually pretty cool, and it did come in handy for this section and further sections. The main strategy I used to get through this part was dropping down that deployable wall and then also hiding behind this pillar because letting them come to me was kind of the only way to get through it. If you did watch the stream, you'll know that I struggled quite a bit for a long time on this part. Eventually, I got to the end of this room where we had to put some power seeds in or something. Once we put one in, a door opened and put more enemies into the room, which is fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. After doing this once or maybe twice, I can't remember. Anyways, I did end up picking up a mangler because, aesthetic. It's more satisfying than probably any of the other weapons to punch with. It is what it is, okay? I just like it. This is also when we were introduced to the flying monkeys of the game, which at this point I already knew I was going to hate them. It's bringing something into the game that can fly, and I'm not allowed to shoot, so I was getting pretty nervous. Luckily, directly after that scene, we actually didn't have to fight any flying monkeys, at least for a little bit. It was mainly just going through these large hallways filled with quite a few enemies. My starting tactic to get through these hallways was to clear them out completely, slowly killing every enemy. But you know me, speedrunner. Eventually I gave up on that tactic and decided to just run through it. Using the grappling hook to just Spider-Man my way through the halls was actually so much easier than trying to fight anything. And after dying a lot of times trying to do it the other way, it was very satisfying to make it through it. And technically this challenge is just about if I can beat the game without shooting. It doesn't really matter if I kill everything. After opening up this one floor door, I jumped down and could hear people talking to me, but I couldn't see them. It really should have triggered in my head that they were invisible, but it was too late once I finally figured that out. After coming back and jumping down again, I pulled out the gravity hammer and took those guys out. Much easier once you know they're there. After killing them, I took their energy sword, and now I had 2 melee weapons, so I was really feeling confident about the rest of the level. This is also a good point to mention that I figured out with the gravity hammer, if you press the melee button with the gravity hammer out, you actually won't use any of the energy that you normally would. It just turns into a normal melee. The problem is it's slower. But the reason this is important is because now I can have an energy sword and the gravity hammer and not waste the energy for either of them if I don't need to, because I really want to save those for stronger enemies. Heading on to the next parts, I did try to do it normally and kill all the enemies. However, you know, the running away method, just so much better. If you can learn anything from this video, run away from your problems. It works most of the time. Eventually we made our way to a nice, completely wide open room where we got to watch a little video of Cortana. I don't know, to be honest, I wasn't paying attention at all. The one thing I did notice is at the end of the cutscene, flying monkeys flew into the room, which means yes, we are going to have to fight them for the first time. And I'll just tell you, this is probably where most of the stream was spent. What was it? It was like 2 hours of me fighting these things in this room, trying to figure out the best way to do it. Because not only were the flying monkeys menaces and could kill you so quickly, the game was also throwing brutes at me. I was finding different places to hide and put down the walls, dying over and over and over again. I was starting to lose my mind until eventually we did find a really nice spot where I could put up the deployable wall on one side, and then the other side was a pretty tiny gap. Basically, I just lured everything towards me, and then I also learned that the shock grenades are insanely good against these guys. For some reason, I just never thought about it for the majority of the time while I was playing until it just, it just worked. And sometimes they'll throw the grenades and then shock themselves. So that's also awesome when that happens. There are some gravity lifts in this room, and I thought those would be a good way for me to avoid everything. However, if you use them a couple times, a brute will use it on the other side and then completely destroy you.
And his name is John C.
So yeah, this one tactic, we're just bringing everything to you. It was basically the only way to do this without shooting. After that, we got the thruster upgrade. Honestly, I didn't really use this upgrade that much. I found the wall, the grappling hook, and the scan dart to be kind of more important, but maybe eventually it'll come in handy. I don't know. For now, it's not that great. After getting that upgrade, we came to a room with 2 brute chieftains. First time I've seen them in this game, and I wasn't that scared of them. I actually just tried to run by them and get to the elevator. Sadly, the weapon decided that she was scared or something. I don't know. She wanted me to kill the guys before we could leave, which is completely stupid. Anyways, I went to go fight them with all my confidence, the gravity hammer and the energy sword. I figured I could take them out, no problem. What I didn't realize is that the brute chieftains are actually like mini bosses. Like, holy, can these guys take a beating? The one thing I did learn from this fight is that energy swords are way better to start a battle, and then the gravity hammer is good to finish it off. Or maybe just overall the energy sword is better. Okay, maybe I didn't learn anything. But in the end, I did end up taking them both out. Targeting one at a time, obviously. There was no way I could fight them both if both of them were targeting me, because the gun they have does so much damage. Sadly, after killing both of these guys, I was left with 1% left on my gravity hammer, so I was scared to use the elevator because I was really hoping the next thing was not going to be a boss fight. Luckily, I met this one praying mantis that said I'm the future, and then she just kicked me out. I was really happy about this. I thought this was going to be a boss fight, and I really would have been screwed. After that, I pulled off an insane move where I killed this one grunt, stole his ghost, and then died. Yeah, epic. Going back in time, I took the ghost, didn't get stuck, and then used the ghost to clear out this one fob up here by running over invisible elites. At this fob, I got a new energy sword, called in a mongoose, picked up a marine, and then headed to my next objective. Nearby to the mission was actually an upgrade point, so I went and collected that, and luckily there was a sniper nearby that I could give to the marine, making him overpowered. You gotta love it. With the OP marine on the back and me driving the mongoose, I headed to the objective and found that there was a couple of hunters waiting for me. This was unlucky because, you know, a hunter versus a mongoose, that's like a one-shot kill. So I figured I could just keep dodging them, driving around, and let the marine shoot them. After trying this a few times, I realized it was probably just best to get off the mongoose and kill them with the energy sword. It made it a lot easier. After this amazing display of teamwork with me and this marine, I really didn't want to let them just leave. So after he consented to coming with me, I swear he consented off camera, we went up the gravity lift into whatever this thing was. Sadly, on the other side, I have no idea where he went. Technically that's treason, right? He just abandoned the mission like that. I can't blame him. I wouldn't trust going anywhere with Master Chief either. I guess we're gonna have to do this alone. Heading into the next area, we met Adjutant Resolution. Once again, I just couldn't bring myself to trust this guy. That's not my fault. That's Halo 3 that did it to me. In the end, the gut feeling was completely right because we did have to fight this guy. I guess he's not a guy, he's a robot. Anyways, we had to fight them after they turned into this really weird form. Luckily, I did have the energy sword. However, chat told me you couldn't kill this boss with melee, you had to shoot them. After hearing that you couldn't kill this boss with melee, I lost a lot of hope. But that doesn't mean I wasn't gonna try, right? Eventually, after hitting it a lot and doing nothing, which I figured would happen, I learned that you actually can cut off the arms of this guy with an energy sword. This was huge news because it did a decent amount of damage whenever you cut off an arm and then hit him in the face. Well, I say it did a decent amount of damage. It seemed like it was actually RNG based because sometimes I would do it and it would have basically no damage done. And then other times I'd cut off both of his arms, give him a hit, and he was like past half health. I have no idea what changed because it was the same amount of hits. Anyways, eventually after doing this a few times, cutting off both of his bottom arms, I simply just couldn't kill him. I could not do enough damage to him, and I thought the run was dead. However, eventually David, another smoover, joined the chat and said I should try grappling onto his head and cutting the top two arms off. I figured it was worth a shot. I already had tried to cut off both of the top arms from the bottom and it simply was not working. For some reason, the top arms can be cut off only if you're standing on its head. Knowing this boss fight became insanely simple and we finished it off pretty quickly. After that, we got on a ship and then crashed and died. So yeah, that's all I have for part 2 of this Halo Infinite challenge video. If this gets 20 likes, I'm going to continue doing the challenge. I have no idea if I'm going to stream it in the future again. I don't know if it was that entertaining to watch simply because it was a lot of dying. The benefit of me streaming these challenge videos, however, is that chat can give me suggestions on how to get past parts that I'm stuck on. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys maybe somewhat enjoyed it. I don't know. We stream on the Smoover's channel on YouTube Monday to Friday and sometimes on the weekend. So if you ever see us live, you know, come hang out, come chat. I hope to see you there, and that's all I have. Have a good one, everybody.